Welcome everyone to this recess meeting of the Will County Board for August 17, 2017. We will call this meeting to order. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and be led by County Board Member Annette Parker, who then will also lead us or introduce our clergy for this morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to introduce Father Burke Masters, the Vocation Director for the Diocese of Joliet and Chaplain for the Chicago Cubs. Father Burke was raised in Joliet and attended Providence Catholic High School. He played on the Mississippi State University baseball team and advanced to the College World Series. Father Burke attended Mundelein Seminary, was ordained in 2002, and became Vocation Director for the Joliet Diocese in 2006.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And as a lifelong Joliet resident, I thank you for all that you do for us. So let's pray in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. This is from John chapter 15. As the Father loves me, so I also love you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete. This is my commandment, love one another as I love you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for another day of life, another day to serve you. Just ask you to flood this room with the gifts of your Holy Spirit, that each one of us and all that we say and do today may give you honor and glory, and that we may seek the good of all people, all the residents of Will County, especially the poor, the elderly, and those who have no voice. And we ask all this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
Ready in hands. Ready. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Mayor? Here. Brooks? Here. Ogala? Summers? Here. Singer? Here. Moran? Here. Rice? Here. Harris? Here. Trainier? Here. Benefield? Here. Fritz? Gould? Here. Militello? Here. Balich? Here. Frizzalone? Here. Winfrey? Here. Parker? Here. Staley Ferry? Here. Dollinger? Here. Markham? Here. Hart? Tuminello? Weigel? Here. Ferry? Here. Colitis? Here. And Mustis.
Mr. Mustis?
Here.
Thank you.
25 present, 1 absent.
25 present, 1 absent. A quorum is present. Entertain a motion to place on file the certificate of publication. Moved by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Trainier. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor? Yes. Brooks?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trainier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz?
Yes.
Gould?
Yes.
Militello?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Dollinger?
Yes.
Markham?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Tuminello? Weigel?
Yes.
Ferry?
Yes.
Colitis?
Yes.
And Mustis. Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative. Motion has carried. Entertain a motion to approve the Will County Board recess meeting of June 2017. The approval of the minutes. Moved by Mr. Mayor, seconded by Ms. Rice. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, seconded by Mr. Markham. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried. Motion, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the executive session minutes of the meeting of July 20th, 2017. Moved by Mr. Mayor, seconded by Mr. Corrales. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Ferry, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Madam Clerk, please acknowledge our elected officials and the media that is present this morning.
Sure. Auditor Duffy Blackburn, Circuit Clerk Andrea Lynn Chasteen, County Clerk Nancy Schultz-Foots, our County Executive Larry Walsh, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stuckel, State's Attorney James Glasgow, and we also have our Chief Judge Richard Shane with us this morning. And we have Michael Collins, our Plainfield Village President, Margot McDermott, State Rep from the 37th District, John Connor, State Representative from the 85th District, Pat McGuire, 43rd Legislative District. We have Missy Schumacher, the Mayor of Shanahan, and Jennifer Bettino-Tarrant from the 49th State Senator. I'm hoping we didn't miss anybody. Good. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning.
And we also have the media with us this morning. Okay. Do you have the media? Oh. We have Nick Ryer. Sorry about this. I'll find them. I'll introduce you in just a few seconds. Okay. You can go on. I'll do it in a second.
Okay. We'll come back to that. Next up is honorary resolutions and proclamations. And if I can ask Ray Tumanello, County Board Member Ray Tumanello, to come to the podium for a proclamation.
So we have Margot McDermott from the 37th District that's going to read a little proclamation to us regarding our air traffic control tower at Lewis University. Margot?
Good morning, everyone. I can't even tell you what a great pleasure it is to be back at Will County Board where government works. One of the things I was doing last fall when I was putting together what bills I would want to have for this session was to look at the Will County legislative agenda, which I know you put so much time and effort into. And I saw a couple things on there. One was, let's do something about our quarries. Let's do something about some of the tax dollars and fees that we're losing because of the footprint of the maybe sometime pie-in-the-sky airport. And the third one was the Lewis Lockport Control Tower. Now, my first two bills created a big stir, and we made a little progress in those two areas, and they will be coming back next year. I have by no means given up on getting our those quarries cleaned up or getting some more fees and tax dollars in the footprint of the airport. But one thing we were successful in doing is getting a proclamation about a control tower for Lewis Lockport, which I think would be, number one, really add to safety, and number two, really assist in the development here in Will County. And I'll just tell you a funny story. When I had the committee hearing about this process, one of the reps, a Democrat rep, Kathleen Willis, said, well, how are they managing, who's controlling it now? And I said, no one. And she's like, who's controlling it now? What's happening? And I said, well, the planes just kind of look out for each other and kind of talk to each other over their things. And she's like, oh, that's terrible. Put me on the bill. So that's why you see Kathleen Willis as one of the sponsors of the bill, besides many of our reps from Will County who all sponsored the bill and we're happy to support it. I want to make that very clear. And I think that that's the way we should all look at this, is this is a very busy airport used by many private and corporate aircraft, and we really should be developing it. I'll just read you a little bit of it. Lewis Lockport Airport. Lewis University Airport is a 1,000-acre facility on Renwick Road. Lewis University is a national leader in aviation education. It was established in 1932. It's well-known and highly regarded. It gives aviation graduates a strong professional network to tap into and competitive advantage. The programs are FAA approved and nationally recognized. They were recently awarded the Lenning Trophy as the outstanding all-around collegiate aviation program in the nation. The airport plays a critical role in the region as an economic engine. More than 20 Fortune 500 companies use the airport. A permanent control tower would make for safer landings at the airport, which has 2 intersecting runways. It would attract more commercial jets and increase the economic growth in the area. And therefore, the Illinois General Assembly resolved that we urge the United States Congress and the President to provide federal funding for Lewis University Airport to construct an air traffic control tower, and that copies of this resolution be delivered to the President, the Majority Leader, the Minority Leader, the Speaker of the House, and the House Minority Leader, and all the members of the Illinois Congressional Delegation. And this was adopted by the Illinois House of Representatives on May 9th, 2017. So I'm happy to be here today and deliver this to you, and let's all move forward and try to make this happen. Thank you.
Let me just say something.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to say thank you to all the legislators, Margot, especially yourself, for bringing this bill forward, because as a 23-year pilot myself, I fly in and out of DuPage Airport, and the reason I fly out of DuPage Airport is because it's a controlled tower and controlled airspace. And my family is my precious cargo, just like these corporate jets. You know, they have their executives on board. But when you look at the corporate structure of many of these companies that have their own aircraft, majority of them have written in their insurance policy that they cannot land or take off or depart from a non-controlled air tower. This will help in a tremendous way to bring economic development and growth in a fashion that we're not going to be used to. It is going to help tremendously, and I could not be more proud and more happy with this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative, for the proclamation. Next up is recognition of retiree Pat Farah on her retirement. County Board Member Don Moran would please come to the podium. Is Pat here? You should be getting used to these proclamations.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to present Pat Farah a certificate of appreciation for her years of service with the Workforce Investment Board of Will County. I'd like to list a few of the things that she's done and accomplished in her almost 17 years of service. It's been my pleasure to work with Pat on the Workforce Investment Board for the last several years, and I also sit on the Center for Economic Development Board with her. She's a rock star when it comes to data analysis and moving economic development forward in Will County. She's collaborated with the Will County Center for Economic Development to conduct numerous targeted industry and workforce studies that assisted in the planning for potential new businesses in Will County. She's led the implementation and ongoing operation of workforce boards of Metropolitan Chicago Group, assisted in obtaining over $8 million in grants to support training in healthcare, manufacturing, and IT. She's identified and recruited over 100 private sector business leaders to serve on the Workforce Investment Board of Will County and participate in helping shape the workforce system in Will County. Successfully transitioned workforce services operations from an outside organization into the county structure. She's developed strategies to inform and engage elected officials at federal, state, and local level on critical workforce issues and initiatives. Developed a system of workforce data collection and analysis that has led to improved performance, efficient use of resources, and enhanced service to job seekers and business customers. Has developed a reputation locally and statewide as an innovator of creative and meaningful solutions to workforce-related challenges. and she's led an initiative to establish a true one-stop center for workforce-related services in Will County, now known as the Workforce Center of Will County. Pat, it's my pleasure to present you with this certificate of appreciation. Thank you very much for your years of service. Thank you. And allowing me to serve with you.
I know that you don't usually get to come up here and talk, so I promise I'll only spend 30 or 40 minutes with my comments. I want to thank everyone here for this recognition. I'm so lucky. I get to be the face of these exciting programs that you support here in Will County. We have an amazing staff at the Workforce Investment Board, Susan Flessner and her staff at Workforce Services Division. It's the work that those people do that I get to show off and people recognize us for. So thank you to those folks. Thank you to the county board, the county executive, our elected officials in the state, and our congressional delegation for recognizing the importance of workforce programs here in the county, not only for those residents who need services, but to help expand our economy, helping employers improve the kinds of employees that they can recruit and the kinds of services and product that they can produce here in the county. We're very fortunate to have the support of the county board, of the county executive, to be able to really move to the front of workforce programs in the state and in the nation. So thank you very much. I'm going to miss the work that I do, miss the folks that I get to work with, but you're in good hands, and thank you so much.
Next up, if County Board Member Don Gould, please come to the podium, and Jeff Ronaldson. Don has a proclamation recognized in the Day of Hope coming up in September. Don?
Thank you, Larry. Some of you have some information on your desk regarding this Day of Hope, and I'd like to just read this proclamation. Recognizing the National Tay-Sachs and Allied Diseases Association Day of Hope on September 16th, 2017. Whereas the mission of the National Tay-Sachs and Allied Diseases Association is to lead the fight to treat the cure for Tay-Sachs, Canavan, and Sandhoff and related genetic diseases, and to support affected families and individuals in leading fuller lives. Whereas the majority of these diseases impact children and are life-limiting in nature, and securing federal funding for research and finding a cure is a challenge. And whereas after several years of normal childhood development, Molly and Madeline Ronaldson began exhibiting developmental delays. And whereas on April 30th, 2016, doctors informed the family that genetic testing reveals both girls had juvenile Sandhoff disease. And whereas juvenile Sandhoff disease is an extremely rare disease that affects the nervous system and is progressive in nature. And whereas NTSAD is holding its 7th National Day of Hope fundraiser on September 16th, 2017 to assist in providing much needed grants for research projects that hold promise and potential that could lead to treatments for these rare diseases. And whereas to be a part of the 2017 Day of Hope, one can visit the ntsad.org website on a national level or support a local level such as Miracles for Molly and Madeline, which will be held September 16th from 4 to 7 p.m. at Wilson Creek Elementary School in Manhattan on behalf of the Ronaldson family. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive recognize September 16th, 2017 as NTSAD Day of Hope. Be it further proclaimed that the Will County Board and the Will County Executive urge residents to be a part of the 2017 Day of Hope to learn more about juvenile Sandhoff disease and to support programs and initiatives for research and treatment. Jeff, I want you to know that the county board is with Mandy and your girls, and the whole county government is in support, and I encourage everyone to please turn out in Manhattan on September 16th. So moved.
So moved. Second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary motion has carried. Yeah.
Thank you. My wife and I are very appreciative, Executive Walsh, Chairman Moostis, and board and staff, for for allowing this day to be recognized coming up. I won't go into a lot of it because you have it on your desk and we got a lot to do today. But I will let you know NTSAD, national organization, been around for 60 years advocating for rare diseases. My family had a chance to go to Texas this year for the family conference and share with families on how to deal with this situation, how to find resources to help, and actually meet with the researchers to see where they're at and where they need to go. So we're very encouraged. They have a plan. They know what they need to do. They just need to get there. As is often the case with research, it might not be where we need it to be, but it's in progress, and this Day of Hope is a means of helping get there. So I appreciate your consideration, and if there's any questions, you know where to find me. Thank you.
All resolutions approved at the July 20th, 2017 County Board meeting have been signed by the County Executive. Before I get started, I would like to personally thank you, elected officials and special guests, our mayors that have come to hear our State of the County message today. We appreciate that very much. It's because of all of you and all working together that we make this county the way it is, as great a county as it is to be. So thank you very much. Good morning, Speaker Mustis, County Board members, elected officials, and residents of Will County. Each year I have the statutory responsibility to report on the health of our county through this State of the County address, which highlights our many accomplishments and outlines plans for the future. I am proud to report this has been another successful year. We have seen great progress in streamlining county operations while improving county facilities. We also have seen continued business growth in all areas of the county, which means new opportunities for our residents. It's a very exciting time in Will County as we proactively plan for a brighter future. The strength of our county is based on many things. Most importantly, we are a diverse county comprised of residents from every walk of life. No matter what race, religion, ancestry, you are welcome to be part of the American dream here in Will County. We are blessed to be in a strategic location at the crossroads of America. We are truly in America's heartland. Despite difficulties at the state and federal levels, business do well in our county. Our communities work together to create a stable environment with continued investment in infrastructure and a strong workforce. However, this central location in the Midwest is both a blessing and a challenge, as growth can sometimes negatively impact our quality of life. All of us have had to contend with the congestion associated with more traffic as our region grows. With today's speech, I will provide a sampling of some of these great things that continue to happen in Will County. I couldn't possibly talk about them all, but I want everyone to know that Will County remains strong and is still a great place to live, work, and raise a family. As one of the fastest growing counties in the state and the nation, we continue to see economic growth and remain very optimistic about our future. The success we enjoy now is no accident. It is the result of many years of being fiscally responsible, planning wisely, and working together toward shared goals. It is also maintaining our top priority, serving our residents. Each day we transform detailed plans into precise actions and are seeing the results of this hard work. Some of these success stories have taken a number of years and steps, but we are achieving tangible results. I think it is important to review briefly some of the history that has established our strong foundation that we are building upon today. When I first became county executive in 2004, we did not have formal financial policies and procedures in place to support our rapidly growing county. Our first step was a collaboration between the county board and my administration to establish a formal cash reserve policy. The goal was to set aside 22 to 26% of our corporate budget to maintain a solid cash flow, to ensure our bills are paid on time and secure our financial foundation. We also face challenges with our transportation and facility infrastructure. We did not have a formal centralized list of critical capital projects, nor a clear budget plan to advance key efforts. Prior to 2008, we had to save several years of motor fuel taxes and other highway revenues to fund major transportation infrastructure projects. The thought of doing a major capital project like a new sheriff's public safety complex or a new modern courthouse were just concepts, not real possibilities. As many of us do in our own personal households, when faced with similar challenges, we need a plan. We need to budget responsibly by cutting unnecessary expenses or finding creative ways to increase efficiency. We also needed to find new sources of revenue to support these needs. Working together with the county board, our county-wide elected officials, and other elected officials in Will County, we have achieved many of these goals due to this disciplined approach to governing. At the start of our current fiscal year, the corporate fund had $49.8 million on hand in cash and investments, which is 25% of 2017 corporate fund budget. We have met that targeted reserve for 10 consecutive years and expect to continue to meet this goal. Let me point out, though, that these dollars are not excess funds, but resources set aside to continue to meet our financial obligations. These prudent fiscal practices strengthened our financial health and earned a county a AA+ rating in 2009, which we have consistently maintained. This favorable bond rating is beneficial when seeking larger sums of money for major capital projects. A specific example of this was our recent bond offering, which had preliminary sale orders at 4 times the amount available. We issued $175 million in bonds to fund our new courthouse and public safety complex. The county saved $4.5 million on this bond issue due to our strong financial rating. Our continued growth significantly impacts our transportation infrastructure, and we must continue to invest in our roadways and bridges to keep people safe and the flow of traffic moving. Working with our state legislators in 2008, a significant new revenue stream, the expanded RTA sales tax, became a reality in Metro Chicagoland. Since its inception, we have received a total of approximately $188 million from this new revenue stream. This year, we anticipate more than $23 million. These sales tax dollars are generated from many visitors to Will County who are shopping or working here or visiting one of our many tourist attractions. This revenue is then reinvested in our roads, bridges, and now our public safety complex. In 2010, we used RTA dollars to fund the $100 million bond issue known as Build Will, which jump-started many of our most critical road and bridge needs. This was a great way to put local people to work through these many projects. We continue to utilize RTA sales tax proceeds to advance many important transportation projects in every area of the county. An important regional project that remains a major topic of discussion is the Weber Road and I-55 interchange project in northern Will County. This highly anticipated project is expected to cost over $90 million and is funded 50% by Will County using a large sum from the RTA tax dollars. Without this funding source, this critically needed project in the densely populated northern part of our county would not be possible. Working with our partners at the Illinois Department of Transportation, we will continue our efforts to advance this vital project, offering motorists a safer roadway and encouraging further economic development within this important commercial corridor. Much like the transportation infrastructure, our county facilities also required renewed focus with a formalized vision for the future. This began in 2009 with a facility needs study, a comprehensive evaluation of all the county's buildings and detailed space projections for the future. Our continued population growth and aging county facilities meant we needed a plan that would guide us going forward. White and Company was hired to assist the county through the development of this study, which ultimately became the foundation for our master plan, which was completed in 2011. The action items that have continued in the years since involved a complicated a series of steps much like a chess match. Our one effort was completed before another could begin. Each had a role in advancing our efforts towards much larger projects. The initial steps were the purchase of the former Social Security building on Scott Street and the First Midwest Bank building on Ottawa and Jefferson Streets. These purchases allowed for consolidation of the coroner and recorder of deeds into the Social Security building and the relocation of the sheriff's offices from the old Eagle building into the First Midwest building. Our work at the Court Annex building enabled us to consolidate the state's attorney's offices into one location, thereby increasing their operational efficiencies. With the 121 North Chicago Street building empty, we are now able to finalize the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Joliet that involves several beneficial land swaps. The County of Joliet will be able to move forward with plans to connect Chicago Street between Washington and Jefferson Street, improving traffic flow through the heart of downtown Joliet. With this agreement, the county anticipates a modern, expanded courthouse parking lot that will include automated payment options. On the site of the 121 Chicago Street, previous city plans called for the building of a new public square concept with enhanced green space for visitors to enjoy. We are planning to move the sheriff's offices into their new buildings on Laraway Road by the end of 2017. This new state-of-the-art $33.8 million, 100,000 square foot public safety complex will contain the majority of the sheriff's administrative operations, the Emergency Telephone Service Board administrative offices, and the Laraway Communications Center 911 Dispatch Center that will serve 31 agencies. This consolidation will increase efficiency and reduce operating costs. With the completion of the public safety complex, Construction is scheduled to begin on the new courthouse in early 2018. Working with the county board, we made the decision to build out all 10 floors rather than moving forward with only 8 floors and adding the remaining 2 floors at a later date. Investing these funds now will save the county money in the future. We will be well prepared to accommodate our future judicial needs as the county continues to grow toward its predicted population of more than 1 million people. One of the core functions of any county government is its health department. Our residents and employees deserve a safe, modern building in which to access the critical public health services. Last year, our health department provided more than 263,000 services to the residents of Will County. Originally built in the 1920s, this building has been deteriorating for many years and must be replaced. Programming efforts are currently underway, which represent the initial step towards the design and the construction of a new building. We intend to lead the way in providing a quality, state-of-the-art health department facility, allowing our employees to continue to offer the exemplary services our residents need and deserve. Services such as annual school immunizations and physicals, tobacco prevention, prenatal care, nutrition education are all important programs that protect the county, the health of our county. Next month, when I present fiscal year 2018 proposed budget, I will talk more about the specific needs of our health department and how we propose to maintain critical offices in the areas of behavioral and mental health. We are very fortunate to have the fully renovated Sunny Hill Nursing Home, a high-quality, skilled nursing care facility. This beautiful facility allows our residents to stay in Will County near family and friends and receive the exceptional care they may need. Over the past 13 years, we have invested more than $30 million in significant renovations at Sunny Hill, upgrading the dining rooms and creating private rooms for the residents. Longtime Director Karen Sobrero, who recently retired, made it her mission to ensure Sunny Hill was a comfortable home for the residents. New Director Becky Halderson will be continuing this concept of resident-centered care at Sunny Hill. With the beautiful gardens, the bright, cheery dining and gathering rooms, Sunny Hill is indeed an asset to Will County. In June, the National Centers of Medicare and Medicaid gave Sunny Hill a 5-star rating, placing it in the top 10% of all nursing homes in Illinois. We are proud to have this national recognition. Economic development is a top priority in Will County. We are continuing investment in infrastructure, steady focus on developing a high-quality workforce, and our strategic location, we remain well-positioned to build upon our recent success. However, we cannot become complacent and must continue to work with our local and regional partners in both the public and private sectors. While we have the continued growth of international leaders like Amazon, which will soon have 5 facilities within Will County and approximately 8,000 to 10,000 employees, we are also working to assist the small and mid-sized businesses that are growing each year and adding jobs to our local economy. The growth of our intermodal facility has earned us the title of the largest inland port in North America. but it comes with a cost of roadways packed with trucks delivering goods to the market. Due to this challenge, we worked with IDOT, the Will County Center for Economic Development, and other partners in the private sector to conduct the community-friendly freight mobility study that we are wrapping up this month. This study took a comprehensive look at the freight movement into and out of our county. It has many goals, but the key points are to remain economically competitive while balancing the quality of life for our residents. We also want to ensure that we have a strong workforce focus to keep our residents trained and ready to go to work in higher paying jobs in these industries. The challenge of balancing growth and quality of life for residents is no easy task. There are times when major developments are a possibility in our county, but without the necessary infrastructure in place to handle the flow of traffic safely, we may not be able to move forward. This is why my administration, the county board, and many of our local partners continue to fight for additional dollars to improve I-80, I-55, and other roadways that support commerce and our residents. There is much work to do in this area, and I look forward to working with the county board as we move forward with the freight plan into action. I would like to mention another area that we worked on this past year, the realm of tourism. Heritage Corridor Convention and Visitor Bureau is our partner in promoting our region as a tourist destination. In 2016, over $642 million were spent on tourism-related activities in Will County. Due to this growing market, we partnered with the Bureau to support their annual travel book for our region and produce a unique Route 66 brochure. As you can see on the screen, this pocket-sized brochure promotes tourist attractions along the historic Route 66 that runs throughout our entire county. This effort involved a contribution from the county that leveraged significant private sector funds and is intended to further expand Will County's growing reputation as a tourist destination. From the Route 66 raceway with the upcoming NASCAR races, the Medewan Tall Grass Prairie with the bison, and the many restaurants and shops along Route 66, we are welcoming tourists from around the world. Will County was recently commended for its work towards effectively ending homelessness amongst our veterans. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development recognized the success of the Will County Continuum of Care, a strong partnership of county and local nonprofit agencies, including the Will County Center for Community Concerns, the Will County Veterans Assistance Commission, Hines Veterans Hospital, Morning Star Mission, and Cornerstones, just to name a few. We have been named the 50th community in the nation recognized for this accomplishment. What this means is we have been successful in assisting any veteran who has come to us in search of housing. This strong continuum assures any veterans seeking assistance will find the help they need. I am proud of the success of this cooperative effort. To date, we have helped 59 veterans find a place to call home. Our veterans made sacrifices to ensure our nation's freedom. Helping them find a permanent housing is the very least we can do to honor their services. Will County was named a Soul Smart Bronze Community by the International City County Management Association for its commitment to the development of solar energy that reduces utility costs and supports the environment. We are the first in Illinois to receive this recognition. The Land Use Department has included solar power as an alternative energy option on its building permit application, which encourages this green practice. The county has implemented online permitted processes, which has proven to be very successful. In 2016, 1,354 online applications were submitted. This year, nearly 2,000 applications have been submitted online. New development inspections have increased by 78% over last year. These numbers indicate Will County is still very attractive to investors. This new construction brings a new tax base to help fund necessary county services. Despite a lack of support from state and federal programs, Will County has been successful in continuing to offer convenient electronic recycling services. Our Resource Recovery and Energy Division in the Land Use Department has worked very hard to continue to host one-day electronic collection events. Since 2000, this program has recycled more than 23 million pounds of unwanted electronics, keeping them out of our landfill and protecting our natural resources. Already this year, we have collected 1 million pounds through the 8 permanent electronics recycling sites across the county and record-breaking one-day collection events in our communities. In addition to all these exciting recycling programs our Land Use Department offers, we are also dedicated to educating our children about the need to protect our planet. Each year, our environmental educator organizes an Earth Flag event where local schools must complete 4 qualified Earth tasks to earn an Earth Flag for their school. This year, 50 schools and more than 10,000 students participated in this program, organizing events such as shoe and clothing collections, composting, or having a waste-free lunch day. I am very proud of the Will County's continued commitment to green living. Sadly, the United States is in the midst of the largest opiate epidemic in our nation's history. According to the National Drug Threat Assessment in 2014, more people in Illinois died from an overdose than car accidents or homicides. Will County saw a record number of 78 heroin-related deaths in 2016. 40% more than the previous year. This increase is due to the availability of fentanyl, a very potent synthetic opiate that is 50 times stronger than heroin. Over the past 7 years, we have worked to raise awareness and educate our children about the dangers of heroin and other opiate drugs. This year, Will County was awarded the Prescription Drug Opiate Overdose-Related Deaths Grant by the Illinois Department of Human Service and funded by SAMHSA to further these efforts. Will County is part of the statewide Illinois Opiate Crisis Advisory Council. Through this grant, we established the Office of Substance Use Initiatives under the direction of Dr. Kathleen Burke to support Narcan training and for service organizations, community overdose and addiction education, and expand evidence-based education in our schools. Will County has made significant progress in these initiatives. In 2016, all police departments in Will County were trained to administer Narcan. the life-saving antidote that can reverse an opiate overdose. Between February and June, 168 people have been trained to deliver Narcan. To date, in 2017, Narcan has been deployed 23 times compared to 16 times total in 2016. Just recently, an Elwood police officer used Narcan to revive a man who had overdosed on heroin. The Good Samaritan Act, passed in 2010, protects individuals who render emergency assistance to an overdosed person. And an important strategy under this initiative is the Safe Passage Program. At the request of several police agencies in Will County, we have created a program which connects anyone suffering from an addiction with treatment. The individual can go to a participating police department to ask for help and will be connected with a certified volunteer who will then personally escort this person to a licensed treatment facility. The police departments recognize that we cannot arrest our way out of this crisis. Addiction is a disease that needs medical care, not jail. This program has already connected 21 residents to treatment. And as I have stated before, we will not rest until heroin and opiate abuse is no longer an epidemic in Will County. In closing, I want to say it's truly an honor and a privilege to serve as executive for Will County. Each day there are challenges, but working together we can achieve great things. Our strength is our collaborative approaches to addressing obstacles we face, working with our public and private sector partners, and through the engagement of our residents. Today, I have offered only a small sampling of the great things that are happening in Will County. As I mentioned in the beginning of my remarks, there are many more great things happening in each of our communities, but time does not allow me to talk about everything, unless you want me to. However, as you can see, we are moving forward, preparing for our future growth, and continuing to attract quality economic investments. Our strong foundation, strategic planning, and measured actions will keep Will County a major player in the state, the nation, and the world. I am immensely proud of what we have accomplished so far, and enthusiastic about what the future holds for Will County. Thank you. Our first committee, Land Use and Development Committee, Mr. Weigel, Chairman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Tom.
First item on the agenda is to open the public hearing for land use cases. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Ballage. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Sure. Mayor? Yes. Brooks? Yes. Summers? Yes. Singer? Yes. Moran? Rice? Yes. Harris? Yes. Trainier? Yes. Benefield? Yes. Fritz? Gould? Yes. Militello? Yes. Ballage? Yes. Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey? Yes. Parker? Yes. Staley Ferry? Yes. Dollinger? Yes. Markham? Yes. Hart? Yes. Tumino? Yes. Weigel?
Yes.
Ferry?
Yes.
Corlitis?
Yes.
And Mustis.
Yes.
Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative. We are in public hearing. Please be advised, absolute no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. Today we have 4 cases. Case ZC 17-013, case ZC 16-043, case CC 16-034, and dash ZC 17-025. Do we have any sign-ups, Nancy?
No.
Anyone from the general public wish to speak on any of these zoning cases? Anyone from the general public wish to speak on any of these zoning cases? Anyone wish to speak? Mr. Weigel?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Balich. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Sure. Mayor? Brooks? Summers? Singer? Moran? Rice? Harris? Trenier? Benefield? Fritz? Gould? Militello? Balich? Frizzalone? Winfrey? Parker? Staley Ferry? Dollinger? Markham? Hart? Tumanello? Weigel?
Yes.
Ferry? And Corliss? Mustis? Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative. Public hearing is closed. Mr. Weigel, please move forward.
Our first case is a special use permit for a truck terminal in Joliet Township on Shanahan Road. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel. Who second?
Gould.
Mr. Gould. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Our second case is adjacent to the first case, another parcel. Special use permit for a truck terminal in Joliet Township on Shanahan Road. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Militello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Our third case is a zoning map amendment from A2 to R1. This is on North Street in Lockport. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Mr. Balich. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Ferry, second by Mr. Markham. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
The fourth case is a special use permit to allow modification of 2 previously approved special use conditions for a truck terminal, which was granted in case 6104-S. This is on Manhattan Road in Joliet. Committee recommends approval, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Weigel, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Moran, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor by signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
That concludes my report. Our next meeting will be September 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next up, Finance Committee, Mr. Frizzalone, Chairperson.
Good morning, Will County.
Good morning, Michael.
First up, I have some reports to put on file. We have the report from the Illinois Department of Revenue showing sales tax remitted to Will County for the month of May 2017 to be $1,573,432.85. The RTA tax received is $1,896,849.61 for a total of $3,470,282.46. I also have the monthly treasurer report dated June 30th, 2017 from our county treasurer, Steve Weber, and I have the quarterly financial report for the 6 months ending February 28th, 2017 from our county auditor, Duffy Blackburn. And I would like to put all those on file, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frislow, so second by Mr. Singer. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
We have some resolutions here, 17-180, designating Republic Bank of Chicago as a county depository, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frislow, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any discussion? Any discussion? Previous roll by Mr. Harris, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
We have 17-181, designating Wheaton Bank and Trust Company, DBA Bolingbrook Bank and Trust as a county depository, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frislow, second by Ms. Trenier. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Ferry, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
17-182, transferring funds within the Circuit Court fiscal year 2017 budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frislow, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Tumanello and Ms. Fritz, seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
17-183, appropriating adult redeploy Illinois program grant funds in the state's attorney's drug court fiscal year 2017 budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frislow, seconded by Mr. Gould. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
And 17-184, I'm very happy to appropriate grant funds in the Will County Children Advocacy Center fiscal year 2017 budget, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Frislow, second by Ms. Dollinger. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey and second by Mr. Brooks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
That's all I have this month, and our next meeting is scheduled for September 15th at 10 a.m.
September what?
5th at 10 a.m. I said 5th.
I thought you said the 15th.
Is it 15th? Okay, September 5th, 5, at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Next up, our Public Works Transportation Committee, Mr. Gould, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Don?
fellow board members. First, I have Resolution 17-185, adopting the Will County Transportation Improvement Program for fiscal years 2018 through 2023. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould. Moved by Mr. Gould. Second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Staley Ferry and second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 17-186, in support of a temporary signal at South Carolina Drive and Weber Road. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Fritz. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Rice, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 17-187, confirming an award of contract to PT Farrow Construction led on July 19th for Hoff Road, County Highway 90 from Illinois Route 53 to the Wapansi Glacial Trail, County Board District 6. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Melatello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Markham, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 17-188, improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for Hoff Road, County Board District 6 using MFT funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Militello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Ms. Winfrey. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
I have Resolution 17-189, confirming an award of contract to deconstruction led on July 19th, 2017, Briggs Street, County Highway 62, over the Spring Creek tributary in County Board 8. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Brooks, second by Ms. Staley Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 17-190, improvement by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for Briggs Street, County Board District 8, using MFT funds. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Second, previous all by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
I have Resolution 17-191, confirming an award of contract to P.T. Farrell Construction led on July 19th, Joliet Road District overlay at various locations in County Board District 8. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Harris and second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
I have Resolution 17-192, confirming an award of contract to D Construction led on July 19th, 2017, Shanahan Road District, Canal Road Drainage Improvements, County Board District 6. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Melitello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Parker, second by Ms. Stollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
I have Resolution 17-193, confirming an award of contract to D Construction led on July 19th, 2017, Jackson Road District, Rowell Road Bridge over Jackson Creek, County Board District 6. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Melitello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Market, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
I have Resolution 17-194, authorizing approval of an IDOT County joint agreement for improvements on Pauling Goodenow Road, County Highway 23 over Plum Creek, County Board District 1. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Summers. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Tumanello, second by Mr. Balich. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
I have Resolution 17-195, contribution by Jacobs Field LLC for roadway improvements at the intersection of Laraway Road and Gauger Road, County Board District 12. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Mr. Fritz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 17-196, a resolution granting ingress and egress and variance for Jacobs Field subdivision on Gauger Road, County Board District 12. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Melantino. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Fritz, second by Mr. Benefield. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
I have Resolution 17-197, authorizing an agreement between the County of Will and Northern Illinois Gas Company for the reimbursement for relocation facilities at the intersection of Laraway Road and Cedar Road in County Board District 12. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Mr. Bally, second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 17-198, authorizing the Will County State's Attorney's Office to proceed with condemnation cases regarding the county's improvement on Mills Road at Briggs Street, County Board District 8. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous call, roll call by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Resolution 17-199, authorizing approval of the establishment of an altered speed zone 551, County Board District 12. Move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Tumanello. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Parker. You're all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Resolution 17-200, a resolution granting a temporary access permit for Judd Law Contracting on Bell Road, County Board District 7. I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Mr. Balish. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll call by Ms. Rice, second by Ms. Trainier. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
I want to thank the members of the committee. We had a long agenda last month. They worked very hard. Appreciate all their efforts. I also would like to thank Mr. Tuminello and Mr. Weigel for their work on the Laraway Road issue, which is going to result in the county saving a lot of dollars down the road. So thank you to everyone. Our next meeting is September 5th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you very much. Good, fine committee meeting. Next up, Judicial Committee, Mr. Benefield.
Good morning, Mr. Executive, fellow board members. The Judicial Committee has nothing to present to the board for approval this month. I would like to invite all of you to our next committee meeting, which is scheduled for September 5th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Next up, Public Health and Safety. Mr. Gould, are you going to handle that?
Yes, sir. On behalf of Mrs. Ogalla, I would like to place the Will County Coroner's 2016 Annual Statistical Report from Will County Coroner Patrick O'Neill on file.
Moved by Mr. Gould, second by Ms. Parker. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The next Public Health and Safety meeting is September 7th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Don. Next up, Legislative and Policy Committee, Ms. Hart, Chairperson.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, we had a short agenda. Not much is going on. We did have our federal consultants call in and give us a brief update of what is going on in D.C. We then followed with a few of our board members who have had the honor of going to the conference for NACO and bring back what they had learned. So that was very interesting. We were also be able to start a new program that we brought back from NACO. And I would like to go to the podium and kind of explain it. We talked about this in committee, but now that I have our board here and our residents, I would like to get up and show you what we're going to do. Chuck, would you please join me? As you know, with the flag, when it becomes tattered or no longer in shape or form for some fitting of the emblem of display, you need to dispose of it correctly. Well, there's been times, even though you have the VFWs and other various groups that take it, now the county is going to be offering a program that we're going to put this in the lobby, and then you'll be able to come and dispose of your retired flags. A matter of fact, thank you, Beth, has brought, so this will be our first flag, and if you see, and she had it up because you don't want to throw it, we're going to go ahead and put the flag in here. So what we're also doing is we're reaching out to various scout groups in the county to come and check on regularly, and when it fills, they will come and dispose of the flags correct. They will be retired. And then that can go and help them with their badge. So I put Chuck Mayer, our majority leader here, I put him on task to get the first scout group, and you were able to?
Yeah, we're talking with a group up in Naperville. In fact, one of the troops, Eagle Scout, has been down here on our county board and has visited us on a couple of occasions. So we're looking forward to working with them. I just have to ask, how many people, patrol boys, anybody, used to take your flags up and down? I mean, early 60s. That was the thing, to be a patrol boy, to be able to bring the flag up and down, and you sat there and you made sure that it was stiff, and you made your little football that, you know, as you were folding the flag up. And so it's really nice to see that we were taking this initiative, because sometimes I think we take for granted what this flag stands for. And it stands for not just the veterans that we look at today, but the veterans that have been dying for this country since the Revolutionary War, and what it took for those folks to even get our democracy set, to set a standard in this world that has not been achieved to date. We are the best country in the world, And I think our flag represents the kind of things that we do. So, Suzanne, I want to thank you and your committee for bringing this back from NACO, and we're going to take this to the next level. So thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing this box filled. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Suzanne.
Lastly, we will have our next committee will be on September 12th at 9 a.m. And I'm really urging a lot of our department heads and others to please attend, because we're going to have some of our legislators from the county come in and discuss on the budget, as well as our finance chair, Mike Frizzalone, and to talk about how the state budget is going to affect us on the impact on the local level here at the county, because there will be a few changes that will be drastic. Thank you, and I'll see you on the 12th.
Thank you. Next up, Capital Improvements Committee, Mr. Tumanello, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Ray.
First on the agenda is authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Frankfurt Fire Protection District for the use of the radio communications tower, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tumanello, second by Mr. Ballage. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Ferry. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next on the agenda is 17-202, awarding contract for asbestos abatement for the former First Midwest Bank, and I so move.
Moved by Mr. Tumanello, second by Ms. Parker. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Mr. Mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Lastly, I just wanted to thank the entire board and the staff for coming out. Majority of everybody in the county board made it out to the tour of the 911 and the sheriff's facility the other day. You know, public safety being our #1 priority, it was nice to see how those two locations are actually advancing. It's very humbling to see the building come together after everybody's work, from the staff to the county board to the committee's work and everybody in between. So it was really nice to see the effects of what we've been working on for the last couple of years. You know, this building, this 911 building, will be a state-of-the-art facility after the consolidation. But not only will it have today's technology in it, it has the capabilities of future technology that will be implemented in the building as well. Technologies such as, you know, right now you can text, and that was a big step to be able to text 911. But right now, it'll just give you a general vicinity of where you are if you're in trouble and you're in need. In the future technology, not only will the 911 centers be able to pick up where you're at, but it will pick it up to the floor and to the actual room in which you are located in if you weren't able to speak. So it's glad to see that we're putting this forward for the good residents of Will County, and I appreciate everyone's support. That's all I had. The next meeting will be our regular scheduled Capital Improvements Committee on September 5th at 11 a.m. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ray. Next up, Executive Committee, Mr. Mustis, Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Executive.
Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, County Board members. My first item today is 17-203, authorizing contracts with the designated carriers for the renewal of the comprehensive group benefit plan. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Dollinger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
Next, I have Resolution 17-204, approving premiums and premium equivalents for the comprehensive group insurance plan, including active employee rates, retiree rates, and COBRA rates, and I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Summers. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have Resolution 17-205. And before I put it on the floor, first I'd like to say probably where it says participation by countywide elected officials is not probably the appropriate initiative or heading for this resolution. The resolution that we'd be considering is to certify hours worked by countywide elected officials. I don't believe that's really what the governing body does. Elected officials, countywide elected officials, are constitutional office holders. But in the discussions between the state's attorney's office and the IMRF attorneys, it seems that the opinion of IMRF now has changed on whether this board has the authority or responsibility of doing so. So I'm going to, at some point, I'm going to entertain a motion to remove this from the agenda, but I'd like to hear, Mary Tatro from the State's Attorney's Office, Chief of the Civil Division of the State's Attorney's Office, give us some explanation why we should probably remove this at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
As Mr. Mustis indicated, when we first received notification that the IMRF board had passed this rule, I had concerns immediately about the constitutionality of it as applied to countywide elected officials. They are clearly full-time employees, and any indication that a county board could choose not to pass a resolution or vote against a resolution based on the number of hours required for that position would constitutionally unconstitutionally result in an impairment of their pensions. I did reach out to IMRF's attorneys at that point, and they were not inclined at that time to change their rule. When they heard of the issues that we were facing in Will County getting this resolution passed, they did reach out to us to give them credit. And during our conversation, they acknowledged that there were problems with the rule and indicated that they would instead accept certifications from the countywide elected officials themselves, indicating that they do in fact put in the minimum required hours to maintain their pension. And so that's where we stand today, is that the county board, whether you act or not, there is no way you could in any way affect their ability to receive a pension.
So having Mary said that, I think that, I prefer personally the concept of let the elected officials, the countywide elected officials, be responsible and report their hours. We, the county board, don't have oversight. We also have a designated agent to IMRF, and that agent, which is our HR director, he's supposed to send the certification in. So let the elected officials be responsible for their actions, just as this board is responsible for their actions. And so, having said that, I now am going to make a motion to remove this from the agenda.
Moved by Mr. Mussis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any discussion? Yes, sir. Mr. Tuminello.
I have one question. When you say they work full-time, they're full-time positions?
They are full-time positions. This resolution is not how many hours they actually put in. It is how many hours is expected of this position. And it's clear even from the statutes that these are full-time positions, and that's what IMRF legal counsel acknowledged.
So we acknowledge that a full-time position is 1,000 hours a year?
No, that's not.
Then why don't they have to sign 2,000 hours?
Because the statute was set, and it gets a little more complicated because there's a historical change in the number of hours required, but that's a statutory provision that to be eligible for IMRF at all, you'd have to put in a minimum of 1,000 hours. Now, typically, if someone's putting in less than full-time, their pension would they'd be eligible for a pension, but it'd be a much lower valued pension because their salary would be a part-time salary.
If I may, I think when we talk about compensation, and it's clearly, you have to understand the IMRF rules. The statute says if a person works and there's two levels, 600 hours a year or 1,000 hours a year. Initially, this county, which I think was ill-advised at the time, was 600 hours, that any employee who worked 600 hours could participate in the IMRF. Not only could, but it is mandatory that they participate in IMRF. They don't have a choice. Then, of course, we looked at that as a county board. Recently, we changed it to 1,000 hours. But this is what's required statutorily by IMRF. We don't have, as a governing body at the county level, have any say on what that level is. That was set by state statutes and the IMRF board. It is that group, that is what makes the 1,000-hour requirement. If it was up to me, I would make that requirement 2,000 hours and take out all part-time people. But I need to understand that part-time people who work here part-time, which we have many, and many we're working less than 1,000 hours, we're eligible for the pension. So it's not something we set. It's set by law, statute, I should say. Okay. So I don't think that's the debate. The other thing I would mention is that we, as a board, when we set county board salaries, we have always looked at the total compensation package. And we have always talked about and have included pension as part of the overall compensation. It's probably one of the reasons we haven't raised the salaries. This board has not raised a salary for countywide elected officials in 12 years. And my guess is it's soon to be 14 when we set the next which we'll do next year, probably around February. At that time, if we have the ability, which is we'll have to find out, but if you want to talk about whether people should participate in it or not, and I'm not so sure that we even have the ability of removing them at all. I don't think we have the ability. And that's why when we talk about overall compensation for elected officials, bring it up then. If you don't think they're entitled to a pension, then lower their salaries, whatever. You can lower their total compensation if that be the spirit of the or decision of the board. That's where that should be discussed. This has nothing to do with that, what's in front of us today, nothing. So,
any other questions? Yes, Mr. Ballage.
Yeah, I had a question. If somebody is in the pension program now with this new ruling, and they decide that they want to get out, do they have the ability to take the existing pension and opt out for further?
Do you mean, could they remain in the position and opt out and collect the pension and their salary?
In other words, take their pension and keep their job?
I don't think so, no.
No.
Okay.
No.
If they're no longer eligible for the pension.
They're still in an IMRF eligible position.
Well, I don't believe that, a career is an elected official. So me in my district, I didn't take the pension, neither did Mike Frizzalone, because we didn't believe that a career is a politician. Because every time you're up for election, you're out. It's not like an employee. You are an employee to a certain extent, but not really like an employee. So that's why I just wanted to ask if they're allowed to do that, because some people might feel like they agree that it isn't a career and they'd like to opt out. And I would say do the right thing and opt out. Well, if they do, then they lose their job, so that's not going to happen.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other questions? We got a motion and a second.
I should take a roll call vote.
And call the roll.
Okay.
Nancy.
Sure. Mayor?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Summers?
Yes.
Singer?
Yes.
Moran?
Yes.
Rice?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Trenier?
Yes.
Benefield?
Yes.
Fritz? Gould?
Yes.
Militello?
Yes.
Balich?
Yes.
Frizzalone?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
Parker? Staley Ferry? Dollinger? Markham? Hart? Tomanello? Weigel? Ferry? Corliss? And Mustis?
Yes.
Thank you.
25 affirmative.
25 affirmative. The motion is carried to remove it from the agenda.
Next, we have Resolution 17206, authorizing the county executive to execute intent to abate real estate taxes for Surface Shields, Inc., and I will so move.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Moran. Any questions? Mr. Singer, previous roll call, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion is carried.
Next, we have Resolution 17207, authorizing contract with AdCom Group for graphic design, marketing, and communication services with the Workforce Investment Board. I also move.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Ms. Melatello. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, we have Resolution 17208, authorizing joint funding agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey for continued operations of rain gauges October 2017 through September 2020, and I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Weigel. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Melatello, second by Ms. Parker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion is carried.
17209, I'm going to make a motion to remove this from the agenda. We have not come to an agreement with Acela, so I'll make a motion to remove from agenda.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Mayor to remove from the agenda. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Winfrey, second by Ms. Rice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
Next, I have Resolution 17210, replacement hires for Sunny Hill Nursing Home. I'll move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Ms. Winfrey. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Dollinger, second by Mr. Ballich. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion has carried.
The Executive Committee, the next meeting will be December 7th at 10 a.m. in this building. Next, I have the appointments to the County Executive. I will move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Mustis, second by Mr. Brooks. Any questions? Any questions? Previous roll by Ms. Summers, second by Mr. Moran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion has carried.
Mr. Executive, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mustis. Next up is public comment. Anyone here from the public wish to address the board? Anyone from the public, general public, this time to talk, ask any questions? Anyone? Yeah. Next up is comments by the county board members. Any comments? Mr. Frizzalone.
Yes, I just make a quick comment on the pension issue. I didn't want to speak during that time because we did remove that from the agenda, but it has brought up a larger issue about if county officials or any kind of elected official should get a pension. And again, I made a lot of comments this week. They were never directed as to individuals that are in an office right now. It's directed about the office. I continue to believe that elected officials should not receive a pension. Our founding fathers thought you should come out of your desired career, serve your government, and go back to your career, and not make government a career as an elected official. So I still believe, and I understand we have to look for other ways to maybe eliminate those pensions. We do have a very wonderful 457 program here, which allows county officials to donate or to contribute up to $18,000 or $24,000 if you're over 55 into a defined contribution program. I think that's the way that we should go, and that everyone should be investing in that, and that the pensions for any, like county board eliminated last year, should be eliminated for all elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Corrales?
Executive, I just want to say thank you to my fellow board members for the approval of Resolution 17-186, which is a temporary signal at the South Caroline Drive and Weber Road. This will help our constituents in the Caroline community, safety concerns due to the I-55 development. Thanks to Chairman Gould, Speaker Musis, for working to move this issue forward. Thanks to my colleague across the aisle, Mark Ferry. It shows the bipartisan cooperation on important issues in our community. In addition, I want to thank Jeff Ronaldson, Director of Transportation, for working through the process with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other comments from the county board members? Any other comments? Before I go to the majority leader, as you see, we outside we have the GIS department and supervisor of assessments has set up presentations to show the county board members and public a number of projects that they've been working on, and so their work is behind the scenes. It's they're down in the basement. Not many people walk by and look in the window and see what they're doing, but they are working hard, and I want to thank Mike Shea for all the work that he had done, stepping up and heading up the GIS staff right now and all the programs. And they can do unbelievable things of mapping opiate issues, mapping of food deserts. So stop out and see what they can do with technology that's going on downstairs in our IT part. Okay. So then next, we need comments from the majority leader, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Well, I want to start off by wishing Sarah Mayer a very happy birthday. You know, without our wives and husbands and spouses and other families to support us, we couldn't do the job that we do every day. And I want to give a special shout out to my wife for all the support that she's given me over the years of being here on the board. I also want to thank, and so from that, I want to thank my county board members for all their hard work. As Executive Walsh pointed out, there's been a lot of work done. Our mission to determine the vision and set the policy and allocate the resources for the county to deliver services, I really believe that you all have done a great job of working through all these processes. We wouldn't have been able to do it. I can still remember Mr. Walsh and Nick sitting with us in our mission and vision workshop where we were trying to figure out where this all is going and how, and Larry had mentioned it today, where we did this comprehensive plan. And when I was chairing Capital, how I was sitting there and having different groups come to me and say, well, we want to build this. And another group would come and say, we want to build this. And I'd turn to my vice chair and I'd say, well, how does that fit into the whole plan? And what is the whole plan? And we had never done a comprehensive capital assessment in 180 years that this county's been around. So working with Mr. Musis and Mr. Walsh, we were able to actually put that plan together. And I think that has really shown a great road map to going forward. I can still remember some board members saying, well, we're just going to take this plan and put it on a shelf, and will we never see it again? And because plans have been done like that over the years. And we can absolutely say from Denise to Reagan to now Ray, it has moved forward and been a great guiding light in this whole process. And I want to thank you, Mr. Executive, for pointing out all the results of all the hard work that continues to be done in these committees and how you and your staff have helped implement these plans. Without the close work, we would not be able to meet our vision of the Will County Board, which is that everyone has a high quality of life through fully engaged county government. So I want to thank you, and I think that this does a great job at showing that when you do it right and you take your time, you really can have an engaged government, and having an engaged board to help with the executive's office, I think really folks that benefit are the citizens of Will County. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to the minority speaker, or minority leader.
Thank you very much. Thank you for them comments. That's gonna hard to beat, Pastor Brooks, you know. So next up, minority leader, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Executive. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin also, express my sentiments with gratitude with your speech on this morning, your address, Mr. Executive. Two things I always look for in the address, and you repeated again as did last year, is that we still maintain our AA+ rating since 2009. Two things you open up your address with and you close with, it was the word "we are working together." The executive office and the county board working together to achieve many things that we saw on that screen. As a matter of fact, when our state representative Margot McDermott stood there and received her proclamation, one of the things she did point out is that Will County does work together. And I think that's a fine achievement on both sides. And to all of the proclamations on this morning, thank you again. But let me close on a little more somber note, and that is on yesterday was a funeral in Charlottesville, Virginia, for a young woman by the name of Heather Meyer. Two state of Virginia police officers in a helicopter responding to the call of duty in Charlottesville also lost their lives. And by no means we should ever forget those 3 lives that perished in Charlottesville, Virginia. However, our county seat of Joliet may not be a large city as some of the rallies that's going on all around the country, but I think every city, big or small, should speak out against the violence that occurred in Charlottesville, Virginia. And I'll never stop speaking out against it because I think it's a tragic. This young lady and those 2 officers lost their lives and what occurred there. I think we all as a country, whether elected officials, whatever you call yourselves, your full-time job, your part-time job, we all ought to share a concern of what occurred in Charlotte, Virginia, and speak out and call wrong, wrong, and right, right. In fact, I committed over 60 years of my life doing the same thing, and I'll never stop right now. But I think we ought to never forget the fact that 3 lives perished in Charlottesville, Virginia, and funeralized a young lady on yesterday, and keeps Heather higher and those 2 state troopers in our prayers as well. Thank you so much, and have a great summer that's left.
Well,
God bless you all.
Thank you for your words, Pastor Brooks. Next up, our county board speaker, Mr. Mustis.
Well, as I do every month, thank you everyone for all your hard work throughout the month. Yeah, I'm going to like to talk a little bit about the rowboat and the ship. So I'm going to start. I'd like to. We had a great milestone last month, and there was a little recognition of the fact that we no longer have any veterans homeless in Will County. That's a super accomplishment. But it did make me reflect on, there's many agencies involved, but it did make me reflect a little bit of, where did it all start? Who were those folks in that rowboat, rowing that boat upstream to make a difference? And I thought about the VAC, the Veteran Assistance Commission. And it's kind of a part of county government in the sense that we help fund them. But really, I want everybody to understand that the VAC came about by, and it was in the late 80s, early 90s, came about by all the various veteran groups, the different VFW posts, the American Legion post, and they actually formed the VAC. Later, they asked for recognition by the county, and we agreed to do some funding, and they've really come a long way, the VAC. And the reason I'm mentioning those are the folks whose boots are on the ground. Most likely, the veteran that's homeless, or the veteran needs help, or the veteran who needs to get to Hines before we had the facility here in Joliet. And many of them still have to go to Hines. They made sure they were getting up there. Jim Glasgow helped provide transportation, found an innovative way of getting him a van through seizure funds or something along those lines. But that Veterans Assistance Commission really is the epicenter of the first move to start addressing veterans' concerns here in Will County. Now, I know there's many more agencies involved now. But I think they should get special recognition because they were in that rowboat. They're the ones who rowed upstream to start making a difference for veterans. You know, at that time, we had World War II veterans, we had Korean veterans, and Vietnam veterans. And now we still have, and now we've added to that 2 more groups of wars in the Middle East. You know, the initial Desert Storm, then we had Iraq. So we keep adding to this need for veterans because many of them, when they come home, don't get, you know, they have some issues and it's tough for them to deal with. So I wanted to give a special shout out. And by the way, they used to get on us all the time when they started out. VAC did. They held our feet to the fire to help, but I just wanted to give a special recognition to the VAC because not only did it start there, it still starts there for those veterans around the street. They're the ones who reach out, so I wanted to give them special recognition. And once again, say great job to all those groups that help those veterans get housing. So talking about the rowboat. We're the rowboat, by the way, just so you all know. Before it becomes a ship, before everybody jumps on the issue, or you know, those who want to stick their toes in and test the water, we're the rowboats. I want to say to my fellow rowboaters, my fellow rowers, keep in mind much of what you hear today and in the county address, and much of what goes on in this county starts here in the rowboat. You know, we take the hits. We don't get that many pats on the back. We take the hits if it don't work out, and we don't get necessarily the recognition when it does work out. So, but I recognize you all. So thanks. I'm proud to be in the rowboat with you. So that concludes my remarks, Mr. Executive, and you have a great day.
Thank you very much, everybody. No more to bring before this board. We motion to adjourn to Thursday, September 21st at 9:30 in the morning. So move.